Quiz Wednesday on 10.1 and 10.2, so solving systems of equations. No calculator for the quiz, so just make sure you know how to do math without a calculator. Let's take a look at number 1. It says the given amount of annual interest is earned from a total of $11,000 invested in 2 funds paying simple interest. Write and solve a system of equations to find the amount invested at each given rate. So we want to set up 2 equations. One of them is with our total amount. The other one is going to be with the amount that we earned interest. The amount of interest earned. So we can call our 2 accounts, we'll call it X and Y. So we invested a certain amount of money at 2% and another amount of money at 5%. But the total amount of money that we invested is $11,000. So our first equation is going to be X plus Y equals 11,000. The other equation that we're going to write is how much money we earned in interest. So that we're going to include the percents and the annual interest amount. So we invested X dollars, we said, at 2%. So I'm going to say 0.02 X because we have to change our percent to a decimal. So plus, what do you think will come next? 0.05 Y. And what's this going to be equal to? 430. Awesome. And we don't really love doing the math with decimals, so what can we do to get rid of those decimals? Not by 10, but by 100. We're going to multiply everything in our second equation by 100. So that gives us 2x plus 5y is equal to 43,000. We're just going to remove the decimal twice for these, and then we add 2 zeros to the 430. Now we still want to solve. So do you want to solve using substitution or elimination?
Elimination.
Elimination would kind of be a good one here because we have x with a coefficient of 1 and y with a coefficient of 1. What can we do to multiply to get one of our variables to eliminate? Multiply by -2. Perfect. So I'm going to multiply everything in my first equation here by -2. And rewrite it down below. So we have -2x minus 2y is equal to -22,000. Now we can combine our like terms. X's cancel. 5y minus 2y would be 3y. And 43,000 minus 22,000 would be 21,000. What would we do next? Divide by 3. So what does y equal? 7,000. So next thing we want to do is find the x. How would we find the x? Let's plug it into the first one. It'll be a lot easier than plugging it into the second. So we're going to plug 7,000 into y. You can kind of just do the math in your head here, but if you want to write it down, definitely do that. So we have x plus 7,000 equal to 11,000. Subtract 7,000. So what does x equal? 4,000. So we invested $4,000 at what rate? At 2%. So you could either say at rate 1 or at 2%. And we invested $7,000 at 5%. With the word problems, we made up that rate 1 was x and that rate 2 is y. So don't just tell me x is equal to this and y is equal to this. I need to know, like in words, which one's which. You got to do a little bit of explaining in word problems. All right, let's do number 2. We want to solve the system of equations. What can we do to solve? Awesome. We already have y all by itself, so we can take what y is equal to and substitute it into the y in the other equation. Be super, super careful when you substitute it in. So we have 2x squared plus 2x minus this whole thing. So I'm going to put in parentheses 2x plus 3 is equal to 15. What do we have to do next? Awesome. So if you're plugging it in and there's a minus in front, you have to distribute the negative. So make sure when you plug it in, you plug it into parentheses. This is what I mean when I say be careful, because that will change your answer. So we have 2x squared plus 2x minus 2x minus 3 is equal to 15. What next? We can combine the two x's together so they cancel. So I have 2x squared minus 3 is equal to 15. Awesome. I can add 3. I want to isolate my variable since I just have one x squared here. So I have 2x squared is equal to 18. Divide by 2.
And square root equals plus or minus 3.
Awesome. When you take the square root of both sides, what do we always have to remember? Plus or minus. Perfect. So we got 2 answers for x. How would we find our y? We got to plug them in individually. I'm going to plug it into the second equation just because I think the math is going to be easier. So I'm going to start by plugging in positive 3. So 2 times 3 plus 3 is equal to y. We get 6 plus 3 is equal to y. So y is equal to 9. So our first answer would be 3, 9, because we plugged in positive 3 here. Let's do the same thing but plug in negative 3. So we have 2 times negative 3 plus 3 equals y. So negative 6 plus 3 equals y. How would we write our answer here?
Negative 3, negative 3.
Negative 3, perfect. So we've got 2 answers. Most of the time when you have an x squared, so when you have a non-linear system of equations, you're going to get 2 answers. Not every single time you'll get 2 answers, but most of the time, because you'll either have to end up factoring or here where we got a plus or minus. All right, number 3. Find the sales X necessary to break even and the corresponding revenue R obtained by selling X units, round to the nearest whole number. So when it says break even, that just means that our costs and our revenue are equal. So we'll say C is equal to R. So we just have to set these two equal to each other. So 8.3x plus 19,000 equals 12.28x. What do you want to do first? We can subtract the 8.3x. So we have 19,000 is equal to, be careful when subtracting here. When you subtract with decimals, it's just like subtracting with whole numbers, but just line up your decimals. So I can't subtract 2 by 3. So I'm going to borrow 1 from the 2. So that would be 11. I'm going to make this 12. So we get 8. 12 minus 3 would be 9. 11 minus 8 is 3. So 3.98x. Then we would divide. I think that the numbers work out a lot nicer on the quiz. I wouldn't say that they're all going to be whole numbers like how in the first one we had decimals, but it worked out to be okay-ish numbers. I think that this would be okay-ish numbers too. So it would be 4,773.87. This question's just asking for x, so we can just leave it as x equals. So when it says break even, you're just setting them equal to each other. Set the cost equal to the revenue. All right, I'm gonna kind of trust that you guys know how to do 4. If we have time, we'll come back for it, but let's take a look at number 5. So we don't really love fractions. What can we do to get rid of the fractions? Awesome, multiply everything in our first equation by 8. Okay, we could do -8. That would be even better. We'll do 2 steps at one. I would just say focus on getting rid of the fractions so you don't have to worry about it, and then you can worry about your elimination after that one number makes it eliminate. So I'm going to rewrite it down below. What is 1/2 x times -8? -4x, perfect. What is 1/8 times y times -8? -1y. And then 3/8 times -8. -3, perfect. If you're multiplying by the same number in the denominator, it cancels. All right, so let's combine our equations. What happens to the x's? Cancel, perfect. What about the y's? They also cancel, so we're left with 0 on the left side. What's 3 minus 3? 0. So what would our answer be? You can say many solutions or infinitely many solutions. All right, let's do number 6. It says a minor league baseball team had a total attendance one evening of 1,270 people. The tickets for adults and children sold for $15 and $12 respectively. The ticket revenue that night was $17,625. Create a system of linear equations to find the number of adults and children at the game. So first we want to come up with an equation for how many people we had at the game. So we had 1,270 people total. Then we want to come up with an equation for how much money we made. Perfect. We'll call adults x and we can call children y. So x plus y is equal to 1,270. 15x plus 12y is equal to 17,625. What should we do next? We can multiply it by -12 if you want to do elimination. So let's multiply our first equation by -12. So we have -12x minus 12y is equal to, we have 1,270 times 12. I totally believe you. I'm just going to do it the long way because you won't have your calculator for the quiz. So 2 times 2 would be 4, plus 1 is 5, and 2 times 1 is 2. We include a 0 there, so 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 1 is 1. Then we add. Awesome. 15,240. Negative 15,240 because we multiplied it by -12. All right, so now let's combine our equations together. 15x minus 12x would be 3x. What happens to the y's? Cancel. And then we have 17,625 minus 15,240. So we can subtract it the long way. 5 minus 0 would be 5. Can't subtract 2 by 4, so we're going to borrow 1 here. 12 minus 4 would be 8. 5 minus 2 is 3. 7 minus 5 is 2. 1 minus 1 is 0. So this would be 2,385. And then we divide it by 3. I was just trusting you guys. So x is equal to 795. We still need to find y. What can we do to find y? Plug it in. I would suggest plugging it into the first one just because it's going to make the math a little bit easier. So 795 plus y is equal to 1270. Subtract by 795. Lucas, what do we get?
470.
So we made up x and y here. So you have to tell me which one's which. So we have 795 what? Adults. And 475 children. All right, let's look at number 7. It says find the dimensions of a rectangle meeting the specified conditions. So the perimeter is 78 meters and the length is 5 meters greater than the width. What's our equation for the perimeter of a rectangle? Let's find a rectangle here. And this would be our awesome. If we had our width and our length, if we walked around the perimeter of our rectangle, we'd walk around 2L plus 2W. So that is our perimeter equation. Now it's telling us that the perimeter is what? 78. So I'm going to plug that in for P. And then it says the length is 5 meters greater than the width. So L means equals. L equals 5 meters greater than the width. 5 plus W. But we needed 2 separate equations so we can solve it like a systems of equations. So I can take what L is equal to and substitute it into the L in the other one. So once you have your 2 equations, now you're going to solve it just like we did in the beginning. So 78 is equal to 2 times 5 plus W plus 2 times W. Does everybody see what I did there? What would we need to do next? Distribute the 2. So 78 is equal to 10 plus 2W plus 2W. What do you want to do next?
Add the 2 W's.
We can make it 4W. So 78 is equal to 10 plus 4W. I'm going to rewrite it over here so we've got more room. Awesome. Then we want to subtract 10. Bless you. So 68 is equal to 4W. Divide by 4. So 4 goes into 6 once. With 2 left over, 4 goes into 28. How many times? 7. So 17 is our width. Awesome. I would suggest plugging it into the second equation just because the numbers look a little bit easier. So 17 is going to go into W. Bless you. L is equal to 5 plus 17. You could always check your work by plugging into both equations just to make sure you did it right. So what would our length be? 22. Yes. It says meters. All right, 8 is super similar. Let's do the same thing. So you want to find the dimension. You can just throw it away. Yeah. Find the dimension of the rectangle meeting the specified conditions. The perimeter is 380 centimeters and the width is 50 centimeters less than the length. So what is our equation for perimeter?
2 opposite ends.
So our perimeter is equal to 2L plus 2W. It tells us that our perimeter is 380, so we'd say 380 is equal to 2L plus 2W. Now the next important piece of information says the width is 50 centimeters less than the length. So width is, so it's going to be W equals, whenever you see that word is, put an equal sign. 50 centimeters less than the length. So we'd say the length minus 50. What? Awesome. Now we're going to plug it into W. Since we have W already all by itself, it's isolated, we're going to plug that into W. Oops. So we have 380 is equal to 2L plus 2 times L minus 50. Distribute. 380 is equal to 2L plus 2L minus 100. What next? Combine the two L's, and I'm going to add 100 to move it to the other side. So 480 is equal to 4L. Divide by 4. So what does L equal? 120. So our length here is 120 centimeters. Now we're going to plug that into our second equation. Perfect. You can plug it into either one. I would suggest plugging it into the one that's easier. Just make sure you plug it into the right variable. So W is equal to 120 minus 50. So W is equal to 70. So width is 70 centimeters. If this question was on the quiz, it probably wouldn't have the boxes for width and length. So just make sure you tell me the width is this, the length is this. Or you could even say W is equal to 70 centimeters, L is equal to 120. Just got to let me know which one's which. They could also ask this question about area. What's our area formula? Length times width. Yeah, same thing. So it could ask the same thing, but it just gives you the area instead. So you'd have to use your area as equal to length times width. Yeah. So just make sure you know that too. Got to know your area formula, and you have to know your perimeter formula. I heard 9 first, so let's do 9. They're pretty similar. So a couple different ways that we can graph. We could either graph using the x and y intercepts. Looking at your homework, I think everybody kind of liked to put it in y equals mx plus b form. So let's do it that way. So for our first equation, what do you want to move first? Sure, let's add y to move it to the other side. So we have negative 3 plus 4x is equal to y. Now we could just move our equal to y to the other side if you like it on the left, so y equals. And we can also just switch the position. I'm not moving it to the other side, I'm just switching the order of it. 2 plus 4 is the same thing as 4 plus 2. So I'm going to say 4x minus 3. So in our first equation, what's our slope? 4. And what is our y-intercept? What goes on the graph first? The y-intercept. So I'm going to put a point at negative 3. How do I do the slope of 4? Rise over run. So which direction am I going? Up 4 and? To the right one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right one. We can connect our dots with the straight line. Let's do the same thing for the second one. Again, we want it to be y equals mx plus b. So what do you want to do first? Do what? Plus y and plus 4. Awesome. So we'll just do 2 steps in one. We have y is equal to negative 3x plus 4. What's our slope? Negative 3. And what's our y-intercept? 4. So what am I going to put first on my graph? Put a point at 4 on the y-axis. How do I show the slope of -3? Down 3 to the right one. You always go to the right. The negative just means that you're going down. So you always go to the right. Go down 1, 2, 3, and to the right one. Where do our two lines intersect? Awesome. 1, 1. So our answer here would be 1, 1. All right, let's do 10. So with 10, same thing. We want to get it into y equals mx plus b form. What do you want to move first? We could subtract 2y. That works. You can move it however you want. I probably would have suggested moving the 4 and the 3x, but we can subtract 2y. That works. Then what? Divide by -2. So we have -2 minus 3x over 2 is equal to y. I'm just going to rearrange it so it's in the form we want. So I'm just going to move the y equals to the other side. And then switch the x. So just remember, the number in front of the x is your slope. You don't have to rewrite it into y equals mx plus b. Once you get y all by itself, you know that the number in front of the x is going to be your slope. But we have -3 over 2x minus 2. So what's our slope? -3 over 2, and our y-intercept? -2. So where do I put my first point? -2 on the y-axis. How do we do the slope of -3 over 2? Down 3 and to the right 2. You can also go in the opposite direction, but instead of going down and to the right, you can go up and to the left. You're just making a straight line, so just go the other way. So we'd go up 3 and to the left 2. All right, so let's do the same thing with our next line. So we have -2y is equal to 8 plus 3x. What do we do first? Awesome. Divide by -2. So y is equal to -4 minus 3 over 2x. Don't let this trick you. Rewrite it if you need to, but also just keep in mind the number in front of the x is your slope. So don't work too fast and get them mixed up. We have -3 over 2x minus 4. What's our slope? -3 over 2, and the y-intercept? -4. So where's my first point going to go? -4. And how would I do the slope of -3 over 2? Down 3 and to the right 2 would be off of our graph, so let's do in the opposite. So instead of going down and to the right, we're going to go up and to the left. So 1, 2, 3, and to the left 2. 1, 2, 3, to the left 2. Awesome. Do the lines intersect? No. So what would our answer be? No solution. What would our answer be if we had the same exact line for both graphs? Infinitely many solutions.